Welcome to the Power of One. On June the 13th, I attended a conference, Undaunted conference, with the Office of Victim Advocate, and I met one of the most beautiful women that just blew me away. Her story was sad, but she's using her story to help others, and she helped me in such a mighty way. So her name is Maureen, aka Mojo, and she is one of the founders of Fine, along with Carrie. And we're going to spend time speaking with them. And I want this to be used not only for those who were affected by crime or who had traumatic events going on in their lives, but I want this to be a special episode for all of those who help victims and co-homicide survivors because it was healing for me. Welcome to the show, ladies.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
So let's begin with your story and how you came up with this beautiful, beautiful agency.
So, Melanie, our project, I'm Fine, something we say when we're not fine, was born out of love, loss, we like to say crisis, and of course, community. And it began with Mojo's story.
My son 6 years ago completed his life, and in that experience as a artist and a mother and a friend, I wasn't able to do any of my roles in life because I was so overwhelmed with depression. It was when I started going back out into my studio and working with my clay that I realized that the clay was very helpful in lifting me out of that fog of depression. So with that, I then went to my friend Carrie, who was the director of Carlisle Arts Learning Center in Carlisle, and a dear friend of mine. And we talked about the mask that I was feeling that I would have to wear to go back out into my communities and feel comfortable with all these different roles in my life. From that, we went.
This project was born.
The project was born.
It was going to be one workshop. The Carlisle YWCA reached out to us and said, we have this group, Girl Power. We want to empower women to talk about their own mental health struggles, and how can we do that through art? And that one workshop with 13 powerful women just kept going. It grew into, we've 80 workshops, 700 mass participants later,
Yes.
all across the state, 6-year project.
So many beautiful conversations. And it's really, for me, Melanie, as you know, and for Carrie, for us, I mean, we are sad about the condition of suicide loss and domestic violence, but more importantly, that we don't want to focus on the sad. What we want to focus on is the resiliency that we possess, all of us, and take that idea of resiliency and bring it to the forefront and support one another through creating art and experiencing how the creation of art can help us so much in this journey to be strong and resilient and help other people.
So, Maureen, aka Mojo, when you indicated that your son completed his life, many viewers may not know what that means. Please explain that.
That's fair. Actually, I didn't know either until I started looking at support groups, because the word suicide has such a negative connotation to it. It has changed the vernacular of how we talk about that. But it was what we're most familiar with, a suicide that Pat chose to end his life. So that's what completed indicates frequently in conversations of suicide.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing that. Now, how long did it take you to come out of that depression?
Honestly, I think it was almost a full year. It was very difficult, but literally the pounding of the clay. My studio isn't far from my house, and once I was able to get out of bed, and which was probably a good 6 months, The pounding of the clay just helped me start processing the events that I had, the trauma of what I had experienced. And yeah, so that's when it began the thought of taking it out into our communities.
I attend many conferences, workshops, and meetings, and my mind kind of like just goes off most of the time because it doesn't touch me. And me dealing with victims and survivors of homicide every day, all day, it weighs heavy on the heart. So when we started to do the clay project, it really touched my heart because I am the strong one in my family. So I'm the baby and the only girl of my two older brothers. And we all go through things. So, but I've always been the strong one because I want to be able to help mom and dad whenever they need it. My dad has health issues now. Again, I'm here and I'm it's not that I have to be here. I want to be here because my mom and dad has just been so amazing to me. But the moment I had my first baby, he's 30. Oh, he just turned 31. Sorry. I have a 31-year-old baby. He's my baby. And then I have a 28-year-old baby. He'll be 29. He's
Yeah.
married, has my three beautiful grandbabies. But again, I'm the rock and
Mhm.
I'm the strong one. And I think we often forget to check on the strong ones. We often forget to touch base with the strong ones or anybody. You just don't know what people are going through, and you can't assume I'm fine. You can't assume that I'm okay. So and here's the thing. Some things you and I could go through the same experience and it may touch you totally different than it touches me. And I might not be able to get over it. So I think it's so important that we check on each other. But I was given this clay and I'm artwork is just not my thing except for when I put my makeup on. But I'm giving this, I'm looking at this slab. I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? And it automatically came to me. I lost myself years ago. And that's when I made my mask. And it was so therapeutic for me. And I wanted to have you on the show because I think that it's going to be crucial for those who care for others. And I think
Yes.
that is so important. So do you do workshops for advocates? Is there a cost? And how can we just blast this out across the world?
Oh, that's wonderful. But first of all, Melanie, do we have permission to show your mess?
Please
Ah,
show my mask.
okay.
Fresh
It's
out of the kiln.
incredible. Look at that. It's incredible.
It's beautiful.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That is so awesome. Yeah. And I had so many thoughts when I was given this clay. I said, okay, I'm gonna make a cave, and in the cave, I'm gonna have the words coming out the clay, cave, and then I gonna put that on. And then I said, you know what? I like the crown, because I'm a queen, but
Queens.
I'm gonna make the crown, but a little
Yeah.
bit of my crown is missing because I'm lost. So it was just awesome. But yeah, please share how can we get this out here and just for it to be it's just so therapeutic.
Well, first of all, every time we go into a group, people will say, I'm not an artist. I'm
Mhm.
not an artist. And they'll get anxious about creating artwork.
Mhm.
And so Mojo and I are just like everyone else out there.
That's right.
And we don't put enough emphasis on that art can be therapeutic, that you can lose yourself in art, that you can create these things. So these workshops are not just for artists. They're for everyone to lose yourselves. There's studies that show that clay does reduce anxiety and depression. That
Mm.
said, we have done workshops with veterans, with UPMC,
Visually impaired, college students, all different grade school or middle school, high school students throughout Pennsylvania and into New York and Ohio. It's always a different experience. We are available to organizations. We just want to make sure that we can reach as many people as we can because like you said, it's a powerful experience and it's different for every person. And once again, Melanie, you talked about how you carry all those stories with you. Carrie and I very much respect the, what's the word I'm looking for? Privacy of every person that we work with in those experiences. So that makes it a space for people to feel comfortable in, so they know there's no judgment, which is another part of what where the beauty is, which we believe. And
So we go anywhere.
yeah, we have been in the Capitol, and
we've been in
yes.
Pittsburgh, we've been in Johnstown, we've been all across Pennsylvania, we've been in New York City.
That's awesome.
We really feel like this, and we don't pretend to know what people want.
That's right.
So we just, it's going to be one workshop. We like to embed ourselves in the community so that we can listen to the community and understand what are their needs. And then the community typically reaches out to us. So depending on, that can be a community of 2, of 10, of 90. It can be a community anywhere in the United States.
Yeah.
We go there. We know Airbnbs intimately. But that said, a workshop can be 3 hours. It can be 2 hours. We've done it in 90 minutes
That's
before.
Right.
And what people do in these workshops is, as you know, they create the mask, the ceramic mask that they wear to portray, to minimize, or hide their own mental health struggles. And it can be daunting at first, but after a while, you lose yourself in it. And then from that workshop, the masks are fired in Mojo's kiln, and then they're given back as a reminder of that you are resilient, that you can overcome these struggles. So if you do you want to know the cost of each workshop? Yes. So I would say it's about $1,200 for a singular workshop.
And we'd like to make them more intimate experiences. So we'd like the enrollment not to go over 30 participants, so that we can spend time with everyone, which is really important. And I will say though, Carrie, one thing we do also do is take a photograph of everyone's mask, and that becomes a part of our gallery, which is on our website, www.imfineproject.com. And that website, they can see an image of their mask. And we also take photos of the masks, often with the participants who make the masks, either showing their face or not showing their face. And then we have that digital image that we like to use in exhibits that also take the empowerment of the creator into another level, of them saying they are not alone as they see themselves exhibited. And I think that is a really important part of what we do, not only in private spaces such as galleries. We did do Susquehanna Art Museum last May, but also we like public exhibits where windows can be embellished with these images and resources, so that people that don't go into galleries or museums are walking on the street, they also have that ability to see the resources and see the powerful work that has been done thinking about this conversation of what mask we wear.
That's awesome. Now, with the cost, so does it matter how many participants? So is the cost cheaper for, say, if there's 2 as opposed to the 30?
So typically it's $15 per participant. And I give a shout out to Standard Ceramics, who has been so generous. They're in Pittsburgh and they supply all of the East Coast with clay, and they have been so generous in donating all of the clay to us, which keeps our cost and expenses down.
Very much so.
But Pat, we'd like to bring up Pat's name as much as possible. Pat actually worked for Standard Ceramics.
So Patrick is my son that brought us to this point. Actually, his work, his life was inspirational. He did work for Standard mixing clay at one point. So when we went to Standard Ceramics, which is the largest distributor on the East Coast by far, they were more than willing to completely supply us with thousands of tons of clay. So it's a beautiful circle of community that we've been able to develop through this medium.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. And I think the cost is so reasonable. Sometimes you are paying for someone to come and speak or for a conference, and you're like, okay, that was a waste. That was a total waste of time. But I mean, I really think this is awesome because you have the clay and people are getting an actual product, and we got to pay for your Airbnb and we got to pay for you to get some breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So I think it's totally, totally reasonable. So tell people again how they can access your services, phone number, website.
Sure. Go ahead.
So our website has videos and a lot of information for people to access. That's www.imfineproject.com. They can reach us by email, which is
Yep. imfine.info@gmail.com. And then if they want to call, they can call us. We want to talk to everyone. So it's
right.
717-858-4821.
And that's awesome. And I am going to charge every chief, inspector, commissioner of law enforcement with paramedics to please reach out to these lovely young ladies. The first responders, they carry so much. And again, I cannot explain how therapeutic this was. So I encourage all of those who help those affected by crime in any way or dealing with suicides.
Yes.
Please reach out to these two lovely young ladies because it will change how your employees show up and how they're able to digest and go on to the next day. Mojo, I have a question for you. Every time that you go and do these workshops, and you did show us a picture of your handsome son, does that trigger you every time, or does it keep motivating you?
It's just definitely an empowering moment. I don't think it has ever triggered me in our whole time. Well, I mean, I get emotional when people connect so much, but for me to be able to use Patrick's name, I think is something it's so therapeutic for me. And hopefully it will encourage other people to talk about their lost ones by name, which is such a different experience than, holding it in and not saying their names out loud. I guess you would agree.
You also shared something very important. Before we started our artwork, you spoke about your mom. Please tell us about your mom, and that touched my heart also.
Well, thank you. My mother was blind. And so for us growing up, she had a little saying, and I think maybe this is what you're resonating with is be kind, think blind. So when we started working with our project, we wanted to do a lot of focus working with vision impaired folks. And so since our time doing the project, we've had several workshops and developed an amazing relationship, but also given folks with vision impairment the ability to see an exhibit because our exhibits are touchable. We make sure that they can touch them, hear stories that are audio controlled on, what are they, old-fashioned phones?
Yeah. So yeah, we hot wired the dial phone so that you can pick them up and listen to the stories. And we like to say it's so old school, it's new school.
Yeah. But when we had an opportunity to talk to our friends who are vision impaired, there's often their first time ever being able, who in a museum says, please touch and listen to children's experience, but it is extended and there I'm carrying my mom and she's just influenced me so much and how to look at different populations and different abilities. So we make sure that that is part of who we like to reach as well. Thank you.
You're welcome. And Carrie, what is the most impactful part of the I'm Fine project for you?
That's easy. We talk about this all the time because there's a lot of administrative work and there's a lot of different things that you do outside of it. It's working with the people.
Yeah.
It's, and I could get emotional. It's listening to their stories. It's the cardiac nurses from WellSpan who we worked with right after or during COVID, who said the number of people they held hands with and told them they were going to be fine knowing that they weren't going to be fine, and
Mm.
they were the last touch that these people were going to have in their life. And so
Mhm.
you have experiences like that, and you think, if I can give you a little piece, or I can show you that your pain is not isolated just with you, and that there are other people out there,
Yeah.
then that's huge. So we leave every workshop, and I'm so privileged to have Mojo next to me.
Ah.
Yeah.
We leave, and we read some of the cards, and we know our own, painful trauma, but we read the cards, and we'll say things like, I never saw that
Yeah.
coming.
You just never
You
know.
never know.
But once again, we are those vessels, somewhat like yourself, Melanie, where we
Yeah.
carry those stories inside, and we respect the privacy, and that we just, and those stories are important to hear as well. So we do often share quotes from those stories because,
Mhm.
once again, that can be another extension of what the I'm Fine Project does.
Mhm.
I want to thank both of you for joining me today. And I often in my show in saying the power of one starts with you. And the power of one has truly started with both of you because you're changing lives. Thank you so much for joining me today. Please understand that your self-care is important. And there are great, great supports out here for you to be able to unpack. So I encourage you to get that I'm Fine workshop because it's going to change your life. Peace and love.
I wanted to create art that would make a difference in a community, that would make a positive impact. So there isn't any hierarchy in art. I believe in saleable art too, and artists that make a living through their art. But my passion had to do with art that could educate, create awareness, and make a difference to the people who not only make art, but also see art.
So for me, it's art advocacy, because I believe after the experience I've had, the best way for me to go back to making art has to be something that means something.
I grew up doing printmaking and doing all kinds of mediums. Now, if I create art, it's typically a very large installation.
I believe that the art that I do now is just sharing my story. And I think that artful act of sharing my story helps our project create stories.
So it's a project. We like to say it was built and born out of love, loss, crisis, and then community voices.
5 years ago, I lost my son, Patrick. He completed his life after struggling with mental illness for many years. In that event, I was not myself. I really didn't even want to go outside until finally I went to my studio and started pounding clay. And that action brought me so much relief. It was a step towards a new life for me, in a sense, because I realized how helpful that was to me. And I took that concept and I talked to my friend Carrie, and we talked about the idea of mask wearing, because I felt that if I was going to go back out into the public, I had to put on some kind of mask, because I certainly didn't feel good inside. From there, we went to one Girl Scout troop.
We were doing one workshop, empower young teens to be aware of mental health, be aware of mental fitness. And we felt like the process of making art, we could make a difference in them telling their story. That one workshop has now grown into 80 workshops, a 5-year project across the state.
We've asked people to think about what they need to have on that mask to make it their story, which each mask has a story. In the beginning, we often hear, I'm not an artist. I love clay, and we wanted to use that material for many reasons. It has health benefits, believe it or not, just touching clay, because it is part of the earth. Very simply, this is clay that was donated to us by Standard Ceramics in Pittsburgh, which is the largest clay distributor across the East Coast. And they were already familiar with my son Patrick because he used to work at their making clay at one point. So when we approached them, of course, they were all in, which means thousands of pounds of clay that they have donated to us. We knew that would be good in our process. So we use clay that's prepared for each person, and they can either put it on a paper mask to give them a basis to help build up their idea of what mask they wear to hide,
Portray, hide, minimize their own mental health struggles.
And then we give them tools. We give everyone these beautiful tools of, sometimes even in residencies, we make our own tools. Then they paint their mask at the end of the process, and we then take them home and put them in a bin, take them home, we put them in our kiln, and voila, they come out with these beautiful shiny surfaces and are suitable to carry and store as we do.
It's such a privilege to work with so many people across the state. Everyone is together in this. There is no discrimination in who suffers and who doesn't. And for us to be, we often, on the way home, we talk about our experiences because they're all anonymous. The masks are anonymous, the stories are, but we feel like we're these little vessels that hold these stories. And we feel very privileged to have had these experiences.
I think once you create that environment that is very safe, and you give people something that they can create or use, the clay gives you the ability to completely control it. And that experience has changed my life, absolutely changed my life. And everybody I know has changed their life, because we can't stop talking about it. We can't encourage enough people to go and touch clay, write a song. There's just, art has made such a difference in this mode of community engagement for myself and my community. That's the point. We want to make sure that people know that, and then they can take it to their communities. We are not art therapists or clinicians, but my experience working with Patrick, trying to figure things out, it was really difficult. And so that is a really important part of what Carrie and I want to make sure people know is, first of all, they're not alone. It sounds cliche, but it really isn't. It is the truth. And the fact is, if you ask, there are people that can help.
In the end, what it means is you're creating a mask, and that mask tells your own unique story. And everyone has a story, and every story is different. And then that's what you see on display here. It's all of the stories coming together. It's the thread that ties every single residency, workshop, class together to say, we need this conversation about mental health. We need to have it. We're in a crisis, right?
For more from Mosaic, please like and subscribe to the channel or check out another video. To help support this project, please visit witf.org/mosaic.